Hello, everyone, and welcome to Parent Learning Hour Presents. Today, we will be talking about assistive tech and AI, tools to assist children and youth with disabilities. This session is brought to you by Stone Soup Group and the Fairbanks School District. We are so glad you are taking the time to watch this video to gain knowledge on these topics to assist and protect your kiddos. Our discussion today will focus on what these tools are, how they can support children and youth with disabilities, and what families and professionals should know to use them safely and effectively, along with some practical examples and additional resources, with the goal of empowering you in these complicated subjects. As a special note, since we are talking about AI today, we do use AI templates and graphics for the Parent Learning Hour videos, but the actual video creation and audio recordings are completed by a human at Stone Soup Group. Our video today has a lot of information, so we have broken it into 3 sections for easier use. First, we will talk about assistive technology, which is commonly referred to as AT. Then we will move into artificial intelligence, or AI, and then we will conclude with information about digital privacy. Don't forget, along with the video, you will also find a resource guide located at the website or QR code at the end of the video, with lots of information and tools for parents and caregivers that can be helpful. In our first section, we ask the questions, what is assistive technology, or AT? Why is it important for students and their development? What does the process look like in the school setting, including where is AT listed in an IEP document? And how does training work for staff and students? Then we will give examples of low, medium, and high-tech AT. We will talk a little bit about what augmentative or alternative communication, AAC, is and how it is evaluated. And then finally in this section, we'll give some examples of AT tools that could be useful in the home environment. For section 2, we will introduce artificial intelligence, AI, including how it works, what it can do today, and important considerations to keep in mind when looking at it for your child or youth. Our last section will be on digital privacy and include information, safety instructions, and other tools for families to keep our kiddos as safe as possible when they are online. Assistive technology is any item, piece of equipment, software, or system that helps a child or youth increase their abilities. One of the earliest skills that AT can support is cause and effect. Learning that if I press this button, something is going to happen is a powerful developmental step. For some children, especially those with physical, cognitive, or communication challenges, AT actually creates access to this kind of learning that would otherwise be out of reach or more of a challenge for kiddos with disabilities. AT can also be incredibly helpful during group activities. Children who may struggle with communication, mobility, or participation can use AT to join things like circle time, sharing time, or interact with peers in meaningful ways. This can build confidence, social inclusion, and even friendships, which are incredibly important for our kiddos. Certain types of AT help strengthen fine motor skills like grasping, writing, or manipulating objects, and then gross motor skills like balance or movement. Sometimes this is through adaptive tools and sometimes through repetitive practice embedded into meaningful tasks. Visual tracking, scanning, and hand-eye coordination are foundational for reading, writing, and interacting with their environment. So AT tools or other adapted materials can support this development as well. Another very big way that AT can impact our children's lives is by giving students clearer ways to participate, engage, and communicate, which then can reduce emotional and behavior challenges. Now, let's talk about how the AT process works in the school setting. It can be initiated by a variety of people who work with the student, including a teacher, whether that be special education or general education, a parent or caregiver, or anyone else on the IEP or 504 team. If a child is struggling with access, communication, participation, or demonstrating knowledge, AT should be considered. Any of these team participants can request AT consideration at any time. You do not need to wait until an annual meeting. Typically, if the AT tool is something not already available in the classroom or to the student, the teacher completes an AT request form and sends it to the AT department at the district level. This documents the student's current challenges, what has been tried, and what supports might help. If your district doesn't have a specific form for AT, you or the team member can always request an evaluation from the district in writing. The AT person or team will then meet with the school staff that works with the student and then observe or interact with the student to determine which supports might be beneficial. Remember that this is a collaboration and should include family input whenever possible. If a need is identified, the AT department brings the recommended tool to the school and provides training for the student, the teacher, and sometimes even support staff. While it can sometimes be difficult, especially in the more rural areas, training on any AT tools should be ongoing or repetitive, not one time. So everyone using the tool, especially the student, can stay confident and consistent when using it. There are so many different things that can be classified as AT, but usually they are grouped into three different levels, including low, medium, and high. Low tech AT doesn't require power or extensive training. It's often affordable and widely available, not only to children with disabilities, but really to any child that may have struggles in the classroom and doesn't always need to go through the formal referral process. Some examples for low-tech AT tools include things like adaptive paper, calculators, highlighters, pencil grips, wiggle chairs, graphic organizers, timers, large print materials, and magnifiers. These seem simple, but they can dramatically improve independence of our kiddos who are struggling in school. Medium tech tools are devices that can become more advanced and may require batteries, simple electronics, or other software. These tools usually need more customization for your student, and the prices can be higher on them. Please remember, though, if the school provides these tools for your child to use, then they will not usually carry any cost for the parent. Medium tech examples can include adaptive keyboards, screen readers, switches, slant boards, and PEX cards or other communication boards. These tools often bridge the gap between physical ability and communication. Now, high tech assistive technology tools often require specialized training, customization to the student, and are usually higher in price. These tools can be transformative, though, for students with complex needs, especially in class participation and communication. Some high tech AT examples include braille displays, speech to text and text to speech software, voice amplifiers, iPads, and laptops. These tools expand access to reading, writing, communication, and learning throughout the school environment. Please note that these lists of examples are not exhaustive, and there may be other things that work for your child that the school may provide. Of course, as usual, there are always things that are not covered, And two that we want you to be aware of are any motorized or non motorized mobility aids like wheelchairs, and then electronic auditory devices like hearing aids. These kinds of items do need to come from a doctor or other provider outside the school setting. Augmentative and Alternative Communication, or AAC, is a system of items that usually includes AT tools to help students who struggle with communication and includes any method that enhances or replaces speech. A speech language pathologist, or an SLP, is the provider that conducts an AAC assessment to determine which tools best fit the student, whether that is high tech devices, symbols like PEX cards, software, or other strategies. The goal here is to support authentic communication in every environment. Now, something to keep in mind with AAC is that it does not prevent speech. Research actually shows it can increase verbal attempts and speech progression. So, implementing an AAC system as early as a child is identified can be very important. Now, just like when we were talking about the different examples of assistive technology tools in the different types, we did want to include some AAC tools that are also considered assistive technology. These can include things like gestures, facial expressions, sign language, eye gaze and head tracking systems for computers, communication picture cards like those PEX cards or other communication boards, and then iPads with specialized AAC apps that can talk for children like LAMP or Proloco to go. Everything here depends on the student's abilities, needs, and communication goals. Now we are going to move into our next section where we will talk about artificial intelligence, or AI. The biggest takeaway for this section is to remember that AI is simply a tool, a very smart computer program designed to make certain tasks in your life or your student's life easier. AI systems imitate human like thinking, but do not yet have personal feelings or independent thoughts. You already use AI every day in things like predictive text, navigation apps, or even spell check. AI should be used as a support, not as a replacement for human reasoning or decision making. In the technology world, AI is currently classified by categories, of which there are three. Narrow or weak intelligence, which is an AI program that is trained to do one task or several related tasks. Most of the AI we use today are examples of this category. This includes everything from predictive text to limited self driving cars. The strong level, which is called artificial general intelligence or AGI, is where we are currently headed towards. Predictions from the technology and research sectors say we could reach this within the next 4 to 11 years. Examples of this level include a lot of what we are doing now, but with increased speed and flexibility. Instead of a self driving car that is programmed to go one route or series of routes, they will have the ability to interact with passengers, predict best routes, observe the weather, and do other tasks all at the same time to meet their end goal. This is the level of AI that will meet a human's level of intelligence. The super level of AI is what you normally see in a lot of media and science fiction. It has become self aware, may have and understand emotions, and have the processing speed at which they can do things much faster than a human. At the moment, this level is only hypothetical, and predictions vary widely on when or if it may happen. There is so much information out there, and it can be confusing as to what is true, how things happen, and what AI does. Because of this, we wanted to go a little bit deeper in this section and talk about how AI is built and trained, key vocabulary with definitions, and considerations for using AI. So, AI learns through a process called machine learning, which is a field of computer science. It looks at large amounts of data, recognizes patterns, and uses those patterns to predict or generate answers. After enough training, it can make decisions or suggestions without a person manually programming each step. Large language models are programs that are networked together like a human brain's neurons. Because of the training from the machine learning and then the linking together into networks, they can understand and generate natural language, which includes things like text, speech, images, and more. One thing to keep in mind is even though they can sound human, they are not. They are only following statistical patterns from their training. This part especially will become important when we discuss AI vocabulary. Most of us have now heard the term generative AI. This is the kind of AI we are seeing a lot in our homes, schools, and phones now. It has the ability not only to understand and analyze content, but also create new content, which, along with text and images, it can also now create somewhat human sounding audio. It can be a powerful tool for accessibility and learning, but unfortunately, it can also be misused. So we need to teach our kiddos appropriate safety, boundaries, and caution when using these tools. There are some key vocabulary we wanted to cover today in relation to AI. The first up is hallucinations. These are when AI produces information that sounds confident but is incorrect based on outdated or biased training data. When you are working with generative AI, always ask it to cite its sources and give you links that you can use to verify the correct and real information. Multimodal models are the most recent type of AI tools that can interpret and generate text, images, audio, or video, sometimes all at the same time, depending on the tool. Prompts are the instructions we give the AI. The clearer and more specific the prompt, the better the outcome. Instead of asking, give me a picture of a troll on a bridge, say, please give me an animated picture of a troll child on a bridge at night under a sky full of stars. As you can imagine, there could be a huge difference between these two pictures based on the specifics in the prompt. Now we want to give you some examples of common AI use and tools that are being used today. These include things like predictive text, speech to text, real-time transcription and translation, chatbots, writing support, interpretation, entertainment, health trackers, and communication apps. Examples of actual AI tools that you may be seeing around include things like Gemini, Copilot, Perplexity, Claude, ChatGPT, Canva, which was used for this presentation, Goblin Tools, Sora, Otter, and Grammarly. These tools support things like scheduling, writing, translation, communication, and accessibility. AI also shows up in home automation tools like Google Home or Amazon Alexa. Many of these are useful functions, especially for individuals who experience disabilities and include things like timers, reminders, audiobooks, calming music, social skills practice, identification of objects, and to-do lists. Home AI tools can be incredibly supportive for children with challenges when paired with clear routines and supervision from adults. Just like everything else in life, there are many things to consider when working or playing with AI, and we wanted to outline some of those in this video for you and your children. Definitely look at comparisons, as free versions of the AI tool may be enough, whereas paid versions can offer more accuracy and features. Some children may hyper-focus on technology, so families should include structure and limits on what and how much time can be spent on these or any other computer programs. Like we just mentioned, AI outputs are only as good as the prompts given, so try to be as specific as possible. Many AI tools store data or use it for training unless you specifically request they do not or set it up in your security settings to not keep any information you put into the program. AI can accidentally expose children to inappropriate content even when being supervised. So make sure to check what is coming from the programs as much as you can or use parental controls if possible to limit things. We also wanted to talk about some of the broader considerations when thinking about AI for the present and in the near future. These include things like ethical, environmental, employment, and privacy concerns. In ethical, we have bias, equitable access, autonomy versus dependence, and transparency. Bias happens because AI tools learn from data created by people, which means they can unintentionally repeat biases that are put into the training. An example of this could be a hiring algorithm might favor certain names or backgrounds because of biased data. Equitable access. Some communities, unfortunately, have more access to advanced tools than others. This includes things like schools with lower funding may not have that access to high quality AI reading supports. Autonomy versus dependence. We want AI to support kids, not replace their learning or communication opportunities. So if a child uses speech to text all the time, we do still want to support their natural speech, whether that is through AAC use, writing development, or other strategies when appropriate. Transparency. Families deserve clear information about how AI tools make decisions. So, if an AI reading app flags a child's writing as incorrect, parents need to know why and help the child learn the correct way. Even though AI is digital, it does have real physical impacts on the environment, which we don't see as much on a daily basis. When it comes to energy use, large AI models require powerful servers that consume huge amounts of electricity. Training one large AI model can use as much energy as hundreds of homes per year. When it comes to water, data centers use this water for cooling all of those big machines so they don't overheat. Some of these use millions of gallons per day. E-waste is when data centers upgrade equipment and get rid of their old hardware, which becomes e-waste, and a lot of times there is no way to properly recycle these items, which means all of this goes into our landfills. So what does this mean for families and schools? Using AI responsibly helps reduce unnecessary energy use. Choosing lighter weight tools, for example, built-in accessibility features, when possible, can lower that resource consumption. Encouraging and advocating with companies to use renewable energy can support more sustainable AI development for now and in the future. AI affects workers across many industries, sometimes positively, sometimes negatively. Positive impacts can include things like efficiency, where AI can reduce repetitive tasks, making jobs easier and faster, and accessibility, where tools like automatic captioning help people with disabilities work more independently. Then we have some negative or challenging impacts to consider, which include job displacement, because some of those tasks may be automated and companies may reduce administrative roles or other roles that AI tools can now handle, like scheduling or data entry. Then there's the shifting of what skills are needed, which includes retraining employees faster than would be considered normal because of how fast AI is progressing. Workers, especially if they're been out of school for a while, often need training to use those new AI tools effectively and efficiently. And then there's labor conditions. Behind the scenes where we don't see, some AI systems rely on human workers to label data. Unfortunately, a lot of these workers are often underpaid and lack protections. Some notes for parents and professionals in this area is that our children are already entering a future where AI literacy is essential. So, teaching them early and often about this topic is important. For long term success, it is really important that we teach critical thinking, which is the skill of asking who, what, where, why, and how about situations in our lives, physically and online. Creativity is a big one. We don't want to lose that as a human. And then, of course, keeping our kids and ourselves safe in the digital arena. Privacy is, of course, one of the biggest topics families need to understand when using any AI tool, especially with kids. Some AI tools use this data to improve their models, unless you turn this option off or choose a privacy focused platform. So, here are some risks to consider when using AI tools. They could be storing your data, and this information could include things like messages or text that children type into any of these AI apps, audio or video recordings, location data, device information, or patterns of use, like behavioral data that they put into the AI tool. There's accidental sharing. Children may share personal details without realizing it. A good example of this would be a child asking a chatbot, "What should I do if my mom isn't home yet and I'm alone?" Then, of course, we've talked about this before, inappropriate content exposure. Unfortunately, not all tools have child protection filters. And then one of the things we see a lot is targeted advertising. Companies may use data to recommend or advertise content. These topics help us remember that AI is powerful, but it must be used responsibly and especially with supervision when kiddos are working with it. Now, we want to talk a little bit more about digital privacy and give you information and tips on how to guard your children when they are using any online tools, games, or programs. Parental controls on devices or programs can filter content, limit screen time, and restrict communication access. Ensure that all of your child's accounts are set to private or use a made up name so that they are limited on who they can share photos, messages, or information with. Avoid using real names in usernames and use strong, unique passwords. Ideally, they should be long sentences with numbers and symbols, or use an encrypted password manager that creates and stores your child's passwords. Children need explicit instruction on privacy, what personal information is, why it matters, and what not to share online. They do not automatically know what this is and why it is so important, not just now, but also for their futures. Use a strong private Wi-Fi password on your modems and routers that only you as the parent know and update it regularly. This helps prevent any unauthorized access. You can also use it to turn off your Wi-Fi at night if children are struggling to stay off devices after bedtime. Sit down with your kids and create an online persona for them. Let them get as creative as they want and encourage them to use this fictional persona rather than real identifying information online when they are using any tools, games, or programs. When going to any website, look for HTTPS at the start of any site you or they use. The S typically means that the site is secure through encryption or other means. On any sign up or login forms, skip all of the optional questions. The more you share, the more you risk being tracked or targeted. Also, try and reject or turn off any non essential cookies when that option pops up on a screen. And finally, teach children not to click on any links or download any files unless they were explicitly expecting them and know who sent them. As we reach our conclusion, we know that this was a lot of information and hope that it gave you useful knowledge, tips, and tricks about assistive technology, artificial intelligence, and digital privacy. If you have any questions or want support navigating AT, AI, or the IEP process, Stone Soup Group or your local school district is here to help. Additional resources, a parent guide, and the video survey are available at the link and QR code shown here. Because we are a grant-funded nonprofit, it's especially important that we receive feedback from viewers. If you are willing to take a quick 2-minute survey, we would really appreciate it. Thank you again for taking the time to watch this video. We hope that you found something valuable to help your family now and in the future. Take care.